we always have this mentality that it's next man up. All the guys that are playing right now off the bench have been working so hard, and they've always been ready. So even though Colin does go down, we were ready to have those guys, make an impact.
Yeah, my mentality is, expect to win. That's who I am. I'm always gonna expect to win. I don't care who I play. I'm going in, telling my guys, they still gotta play us.
And with that, we say good morning. Welcome to a Sweet 16 edition of Big East Shootaround. I'm your host, John Fanton. We've got an all-star panel for you with Villanova and Creighton, the 2 5 seeds out of the Big East, both with Sweet 16 matchups ahead this weekend. We've got the former Villanova national champion in 2016, D-Ray Darrell Reynolds, is with us, as well as the former Kansas Jayhawk and Creighton Blue Jay coming to us from Omaha. It is Nick Bach. Quite the starting lineup, gentlemen. Great to have you. It is the best time of year. And how about it? Villanova and Creighton, they've got tough draws here this weekend. But, Nick, I want to start with you. The Creighton Blue Jays have not won back-to-back NCAA tournament games in the same season until now, until this season. First Sweet 16 since 1974. Just what kind of perspective can you share on what the vibe is like right now in the Omaha community and what this means to Creighton basketball?
Well, it's something I'm sure Darrell could probably relate to when something's kind of hanging over your program. And for Coach Wright and Nova, it was kind of getting through to the Final Four, cutting down nets. Everything's relative, right? This was kind of what was hanging over the Creighton program for a long time. Creighton's graduated to these different levels. They go from the Valley, a good mid-major. Now they're in the Big East, and they've kind of taken these incremental steps. But the one box that they have not checked off is making a run to the Sweet 16. It feels like they've done almost everything else. And that's something that's been hanging over the program for a long time. And there's been a lot of good teams over the course of the last 20 to 25 years. If you go back to Kyle Korver's teams, some teams that I was on with Anthony Tolliver and Nate Funk. And for whatever reason, and obviously Dougie McDermott and the boys were a 3 seed in 2014 and got beat in the second round by Baylor. For whatever reason, Creighton just hasn't been able to get over the hump, win 2 games in the tournament, and get to the Sweet 16. So this means a lot to the program. And frankly, this was kind of what this team set out to do.
Let's turn to Villanova in action later today against Baylor. D-Ray, it's a bit different, because this is the 7th time in the last 20 years that Villanova's been to a Sweet 16. Mm-hmm. But if you would have said this at the start of the NCAA tournament, it might have gotten some eyebrows perked because of the loss of Colin Gillespie and just how much he's meant. You've been inside the program as a player, and you've served with the coaching staff. When Gillespie goes down, take us inside that locker room, inside the program. How have they responded from this and gotten to the second weekend?
The way Coach Wright has always kind of preached his message, which is next man up. You know what I mean? I think the program is kind of built on this idea that anything that comes our way, we can deal with. You know what I mean? And everybody just has to stay ready. Nobody has to get ready. First and foremost, I love what Brian Antoine jumped in and did immediately. Chris Arcidiacono, not necessarily as offensively poised as Colin, but just, handling the basketball and making sure the offense is running. You can see a bunch of these young guys have been ready for their time. You know what I mean? And you don't wish ill amongst anybody, but at the same time, it's like, okay, one guy down. If we take this guy's talents in this area, that guy's talents in that area, and kind of put them together, then you can ultimately supplement what Colin brought to the table, and then some, because you have the surprise factor. You know what I mean? It's Colin walks on the court. A lot of players know him from 2018, so they're saying, okay, he's been doing this, he's been doing that. They know him as the leader. You see him out in front, and then you have a guy like I said, a Brian Antoine, a Chris Arcidiacono. Quite frankly, Justin Moore was looking doubtful when he sprained his ankle, in the Big East, and it's like, okay, who's going to do it? And you have these guys who come out full steam ahead.
Well, these matchups ahead for both the Wildcats and the Blue Jays, it's the part of the tournament that you just say, man, they didn't get the luck of the draw because these are the best 2 teams on paper left on the big dance floor, and they've been the best 2 teams all season long. Unbeaten Gonzaga, tops in KenPom, tops in every metric offensively, and then right behind them, Baylor. Let's look at this Jays-Zags matchup, Nick. These 2 teams have some recent history. They've scheduled a home-and-home a couple years back, so it's not like it's a deer in headlights for either coach. What do you think is the key to this matchup for Creighton to be able to hang in and have a chance?
As crazy as this sounds, I'm interested to see what pace Creighton plays at in this game.
Yeah.
I know that sounds crazy because Creighton likes to play fast, but if there's one team that Creighton maybe is outmanned in a track meet with, it's maybe Gonzaga. So I'll be curious to see when Creighton decides to push it, when they decide to maybe pump the brakes a little bit. And, you know, there are two things I look at with this game that are I don't, if you want to really have a glass half full for this matchup. In order to beat Gonzaga, you have to score. Like, you have to be able to score the ball. They average 90 points per game, lead the nation in scoring, number one in Ken Palm. Creighton can score. So it's not like Creighton's a team that, you know, they would struggle to get to 65 or 70 points. They can score. That's the first thing. And then, do you realize that Gonzaga has not played a game that's been decided by single digits since December 2nd. Wow. And it's been only one time all year. So the recipe is, and Daryl, you know this, like, the recipe is for Creighton, hang in there, keep it close, and then maybe we've all seen the NCAA tournament, you're down 5 or it's a 4-point game. There's 5 minutes left. Gonzaga's not too comfortable in that game because they haven't been in it a ton, and you never know how that pendulum of pressure might swing. And so I think that's kind of the recipe
for the Creighton Blue Jays. Mm-hmm. It's been Damien Jefferson, who just has a non-stop motor. And earlier this week, we caught up with him for a one-on-one. It is great to be joined by the Creighton senior forward, Damien Jefferson, as he and the Blue Jays are heading to their first Sweet 16 since 1974. And Damien, you're straight out of East Chicago, Indiana. How cool is this to be doing it in your home state?
It's been fun, man. Just seeing some familiar faces that I'm used to seeing, man. Just like high school, man. It's just seeing those guys and hearing my family yell and cheering us on. It's been good, man. It's been a blessing to be back in the home state.
I hear that every one of your days starts with the same text message that comes into your phone. Who's texting you?
It's my mom every morning. It's a quote from the Bible. She sent me a quote from the Bible telling me just a quote, and then at the end she always say, "Have a good day and I love you," and that just get my day started. So before anybody texts me, I won't text nobody until she texts me first, until I get the chance to respond to her. So that's been that. It's been like that since freshman year of college. So it's been good, man. That's my good luck charm, I guess.
You and this Creighton Blue Jays team completing history on Monday evening. First time this program's advanced to the second weekend of the NCAA tournament. And we've talked about the 47 years that it's been since this program has been one of the final 16 left in this tournament. How much is this moment what you envisioned when you decided to come back to Creighton for a senior year?
Man, obviously it means a lot, not just to us, but to the Creighton community, man, the fans, everybody. But, man, just coming back, me and Denzel, we always talked about it. Like, we talked about it. We said it after the game. Like, that's one of the reasons why we came back, to come make a run in March and do what we came back to do. And obviously we doing that. But like I said, the job's not finished. So we know we got a great team coming up on Sunday. So we just got to prepare the right way, and just try to get the job done the best way we can.
It's human nature, Damien. You see stuff. You read stuff. Everybody watches things. Gonzaga has not lost a game this season.
Right.
What do you make of being a total underdog?
Just come out and shock the world, man. That's our message. Just try to shock the world, because we know, like I said, they're a great team. They haven't lost a game this season, and they playing a great basketball. They got great players, and they got an awesome coach, a historic coach. And to try to beat them, you have to be disciplined. It's kind of like playing Villanova. You have to be disciplined, because once you play against Villanova not going to beat themselves, and because they're a very disciplined team. So we're going to try to come out and just play the right way, follow coach's game plan, and just stick to what we have to do, and not to change anything that we've been doing all year.
Why is this group always stuck together?
Like you said, we went through a lot. We went through a lot of adversity. We had a lot of ups and downs, man. But that's one thing about a family, man. Family sticks together, no matter what the situation is. No family is perfect. It's gonna always be hard times, and that's the good thing about a family. Families stick together through no matter what, through thick and thin. So that's one of the main reasons why we stick together, man. Because off the court, we the best of friends, and on the court, obviously we still close. We're best of friends, but we have a job to do. So, man, that's the good thing about our program, man, and our team.
You can beat Gonzaga, Damien Jefferson.
Oh, for sure.
If you do what?
Stay disciplined, man. We got to stay disciplined and play the right way for 40 minutes, not just 20 minutes, but we got to stay disciplined and play the right way, man. And if we do that, we're going to beat those dudes.
On the flip side for Villanova, meeting the Baylor Bears, these two teams actually met last season as well, D-Ray, in the Myrtle Beach Invitational. It was an epic game. Now the Wildcats have to deal with Jared Butler, Davion Mitchell, Massimo Teague, Matthew Meyer. The list goes on for this Baylor team, D-Ray. If you're Villanova, how do you approach this matchup with the Bears?
I think a lot of it is, what Nick had just said is kind of just staying. I think of, obviously not a lot of people aren't going to get this reference, but that Ali and George Foreman fight, you know what I mean? You got to kind of let them wear themselves out. And like Nick said, like you let that game get stretched out, and then at the end you steal it. I don't think this is going to be something they want to get into a shootout with this team with, because they can't. You know what I mean? You got three guys averaging over 15 points. You know what I mean? Like that's major. That's hard to stop. So I don't think the recipe for this game for Villanova is to get up and down with them. I think it's to slow the game down, to keep it close. You don't want a game like this to get into the 70s, unless you're like in that last media timeout. You know what I mean? Because at that point, it plays into their favor. I think defense is going to be a huge part of this game. Like I said, they really don't have the surprise factor anymore, but I don't think it's going to be offense that wins this game for either team, quite frankly. I think it's going to be the defense that does it. I mean, you look at Nova last game, what was it? They shot 50-something percent from three?
Yep.
15 for 30, so 50% from three. So it's like both teams are kind of offensively charged right now, and I think it's who's going to be able to slow the game down, who's going to be able to grind the other team, who can be able to just really frustrate the other backcourt, quite frankly, because a lot of this game comes down to the backcourts, and just steal it in the end. But like I said, I've always liked us for that. I've always kind of quite frankly, the Big East for that. I think that's kind of the Big East's I'm not going to say mentality, but calling card. You look at a conference like the Pac-12, it's the up and down. The Big Ten, you know what I mean? They like to muscle guys. A lot of Big East play comes down to grit, you know what I mean? And being able to kind of be that underdog and relish in that. You see what Georgetown just did in the tournament. We kind of relish in that ability to, all right, we're just going to grind it out. We're just going to outlast you. You know what I mean? I think if anybody could do it, it's Nova. If I had to nail down one player that absolutely has to have a great game, I don't think anybody's surprised. Jermaine X Factor Samuels. And obviously nobody's ever called him that, but it's just he is like, Jermaine's that guy that if he's playing good, it's a win in my book. Like if he's playing good, it's almost impossible to beat Nova. And I think that he, as a senior at this point, as a leader with Colin and Dada out, he's ready to step into that role completely.
Another player for Villanova who's been ready for this moment is Caleb Daniels. The Tulane transfer has combined for 21 points over these first two NCAA tournament wins and now playing on the big dance floor for the first time. Extra special for the Villanova X Factor, who we caught up with earlier this week. Caleb, you transferring from Tulane to Villanova to now be in the Sweet 16. How much did you think when you came into this Wildcats program of these types of possibilities, these types of visions?
I expected a lot. I expected a lot of work to come with it, most importantly, and a lot of growth to be taking place throughout even my sit-out year and playing this year. So I'm just pretty much thankful for it all.
How much has Coach Wright, and in what areas has he helped you grow as a player in person?
I think most importantly, just being a man, being thorough and being legit in everything that you do, giving it all that you have to expect great results and to expect growth from putting forth your best effort every day. And towards the basketball aspect, I think the most important part that I've really progressed that he's helped me with is decision making.
That decision making, obviously key on the biggest of stages in this sport, Caleb. 21 points for you combined in the first 2 NCAA tournament wins. What's the mentality that you're taking when you're on the floor right now?
The mentality is really defensive first. Just being able to just step up for my teammates and allowing our defense to fuel our offense. That's what's been pretty much getting us going with our momentum. And just having trust and pride in our teammates and what we do here at Villanova.
Jay Wright was talking earlier with the media today, and he said Jermaine Samuels is just the most lovable guy, that not only is he a great player, but Mano is just so kind to everybody. What have you learned from him?
From Maine, I learned a lot. He's opened my perspective to life in itself. Like you say, he's a very nice, generous guy. He's very giving. He gives more than he takes. So I've definitely learned a lot from Jermaine just being around him for 2 years. It felt like I've known him forever, honestly. I'm glad to call him my brother. He's very near and dear to my heart.
Caleb Daniels, what is your why? Why do you love basketball?
My why, I will have to say, is God, honestly. God and family. God just giving me these capabilities to just do what I love every single day and to wake up. It's quite frankly enough motivation for me to just go out here and utilize the gifts that he's bestowed upon me. And my family, they sacrificed so much for me and my brothers as well growing up. So I think by going out here and just giving them my all every single day, that's for them. That's pretty much giving them thanks for everything that they've done for me in my life.
Tell me something that sticks out to you that your parents have always told you.
One thing in particular is always be where your feet are. Be present in the moment. Don't think too far ahead. Don't get stuck on thinking about the past, but just being where your feet are.
As you get ready for this Sweet 16 game against Baylor, you went through the grind of a Big East season. What do you think you saw in the Big East that can help you on a stage like this?
I think what can help us that we saw in the Big East was pretty much physicality. Physicality and just the different types of teams that we played in the Big East. I feel like that's helped us. That is currently helping us just get adjusted to the different teams that we may possibly see in this tournament. So there's a lot of different types of teams. So I feel like we're ready and we're geared up enough to be ready to adjust to any situation.
How much do you relish the idea? It's human nature, right? When maybe people out there say, hey, Villanova's the underdog going into this game. How much do you and your brothers relish the idea that you come into this game and there are certain folks who have counted you out?
We just stay within each other. We always motivate each other to just hold each other accountable, to just push each other every single day, and to stay within what we do. We see the things that they say, but we don't really particularly focus on that because we focusing on each other, and we just focus on bettering each other every day and just being the best Villanova basketball team that we can be.
Let's turn to the NCAA women's tournament now, with the Big East champion UConn Huskies appearing in their 27th consecutive Sweet 16. Gino Auriemma returning to the sidelines today as UConn will be in action against Iowa for a spot in the Elite Eight. Tip at 1 Eastern time on ABC. And our Big East women's basketball correspondent, Megan Caffrey, as a special guest.
Thank you so much, John. I'm so excited to welcome in ESPN analyst and proud Georgetown Hoya alum, Monica McNutt. We are talking Sweet 16 women's hoops. Monica, when you're looking at this UConn women's basketball team, in the beginning of this season, when people were talking about them, this was a younger roster and everything. What do you make to where this Huskies team is right now playing in the Sweet 16?
Well, Megan, thanks for having me, and it's so good to see you. And that, my friend, is such a loaded question. I mean, you and I were both there, John too, well, there, virtually, at Media Day, when Coach Auriemma jokingly kind of said, I mean, Paige, like, there's all this hype about this kid. She hasn't played a game yet. What are we doing, right? Fast forward to February. Let me get my dates together. Yeah, February. And I have the call of the UConn-South Carolina game, and he says to us pregame that she has outperformed the expectations. We've covered Gino now for years. Those are not words and phrases that he tosses around lightly, and I think the numbers bear it out. She's the only true freshman, I believe, that's leading her team in both points and assists. And we talk about the load that she has shouldered this year, on top of being a freshman in an extremely odd and COVID year. So I have been thoroughly impressed with Paige in particular. I think this team has come along steadily. I was concerned when Kristen Williams struggled to find her footing, but of course she did, and I applaud her for staying with it. I think Evina Westbrook is important. Olivia Nelson-Ododa is important for this unit too, but my favorite up-and-comer, honestly, Megan, is Aaliyah Edwards. I think that she has tremendous upside. She's got the tenacity, the attitude. I know she's learning how to play and stay out of foul trouble, but as a unit, I think the growth of this team from the beginning of the season to where we are now, there's more balance. I think they are more comfortable playing with Paige. And Gino said quite candidly, because she has such great vision and a feel for the game, she sees things before her teammates do. And that can lead to a little frustration when they miscommunicate. But now they seem like they really have a rhythm. They know how to play off of her and play with her. So I think this team is just as dangerous as any.
Since you mentioned Paige Beckers a little bit right there, Monica, when we're diving a little bit into the story within the story with this matchup against Iowa, Iowa has a freshman guard, Caitlin Clark, who is having herself quite a rookie season as well. Both of these players have said multiple times, right? It's not the player versus the player, it's the team versus the team. But when you're looking closer at this matchup between these two freshman phenoms, what are you seeing right there that really interests you?
As much as those two young women are polished Midwestern chicks, and they're not going to say it's just them, oh, please. Like, it's totally Caitlin versus Paige that we're looking forward to. I think when I look at Caitlin's numbers, obviously she has a tremendous amount, double-digit amount of 30-point performances this season. Paige doesn't quite have as many, but she hasn't needed to have as many. But the number that kind of caught my eye when we looked at the two side by side is the assists per game. And they really are neck and neck. And I actually had an opportunity to hear Diana Taurasi earlier today on the Exposure account on Instagram. And she talked about Paige's passing is what truly makes her so unique. Caitlin can also do that. Now, if we were to go 1 through 5, Iowa doesn't necessarily have the firepower that UConn has. And I think ultimately, as excited as we are for this particular matchup, I don't know how close this actual ball game will be. But I can't wait. I think it makes you think about the future of women's basketball, because both of these women, their entire freshman class, there's a ton of great freshmen, but these two in particular, there's such a bright future and a high ceiling.
That'll do it for us here on this Sweet 16 edition of Shootaround. Remember, 5:15 Eastern Time today, it's Villanova and Baylor on CBS from Hinkle Fieldhouse. Tomorrow, 2:10 Eastern Time, Creighton and Gonzaga for an Elite Eight spot. Also from Hinkle Fieldhouse, could we be in for some more Hinkle magic? And also on CBS. In the women's game, the number 1 team in the land, the UConn Huskies, will meet Iowa for a spot in the Elite Eight. The Sweet 16 Showdown gets rolling at 1 Eastern Time on ABC. Follow at Big East WBB, a tremendous freshman showdown between the Huskies' Paige Beckers and the Hawkeyes' Caitlin Clark. Thanks again to my partners, Nick Baugh of Fox College Hoops, as well as D-Ray, Daryl Reynolds. Thanks to our producers, Rick Gentile, Bobby Mullen, and Ben Piasek, as well as the great crew out in Wisconsin from Rush Media for their support all throughout the season. I'm John Fanta saying enjoy the madness, everybody. The tournament rolls on today.